Between 2026 and 2045, the Indian education system will not disappear, but it will split into two increasingly different functions. The degrees themselves will remain, but the core machinery is undergoing a structural divergence. Historically, mass education performs two roles at once. The first is education as genuine human development, building intellect and social skills. The second is education as an economic signal, a mechanism used to decide who gets access to scarce jobs and income. Generative artificial intelligence targets these functions differently. It weakens the signaling power of the generic credential while making the actual development of human capability more valuable. The traditional sorting machine. The university teaches, examines, and certifies the student. The employer uses that certification for employability. When AI enters the map, the sequence reassembles. Institutions must move past certification, focusing on diagnosing gaps, simulating environments, and requiring demonstrated capability. This shift involves staggering numbers. India's education system manages over 240 million school students, a massive population currently operating within a model built for a world where knowledge was hard to find. Government policy pushes to scale this, aiming to raise higher education enrollment to 50% by 2035. Millions more students are entering a system designed to distribute organized information. However, AI removes the institution's historical monopoly on that information. What used to be a scarce asset, access to organized knowledge, has become a commodity. Routine information delivery, basic question answering, and content generation are now effectively free. They are no longer products a university can exclusively sell. Because its primary historical product is now abundant and accessible outside the classroom, the institution faces a challenge to its core utility. It must find something else to offer that AI cannot. The current system is sustained by a specific psychological contract. Families tell children that if they sacrifice and study now to acquire credentials, society will reward them later with stability. This downward flow maps the bargain. Education leads to a credential, which secures employment and status, eventually providing family security and upward mobility. As the number of degree holders rises to 40, millions of young people are competing for a tiny number of opportunities that still offer the status promised by the old bargain. A massive coaching industry has emerged to help students navigate these gateways. This parallel system does not necessarily improve learning. It is designed to optimize an individual's position within the selection game. The result is a generic degree that becomes less informative to employers, even as the cost and effort to obtain it continue to rise. AI shatters the traditional assessment regime. It can instantly generate college-level essays, solve programming problems, and complete take-home assignments with high accuracy. When an algorithm can produce the answer itself no longer reveals anything about the student's mind. The informational value of the traditional homework assignment has effectively collapsed. Institutions have responded with a surveillance spiral. As students use AI to generate work, universities deploy AI detectors, leading to further AI evasion tools and a continuous arms race of detection. This creates an institutional contradiction. While colleges may label AI use as cheating, employers increasingly view AI proficiency as a mandatory workplace skill. We have to distinguish between assisted performance, what you can output using tools, and independent capability, what you actually understand and do if tools are removed. To measure independent capability, assessment must change. It will move toward oral defenses, iterative project histories, and solving ambiguous, real-world problems that require human judgment.
Preserving the old examination regime is impossible against a technology that makes the outputs of that regime fundamentally cheap. The history of education is a transition of scarcities. First, information was scarce. Then, filtering was scarce. Now, the scarce asset is judgment. In an age of abundant answers, the new scarcities are traits like deep attention, the ability to generate meaningful questions, and embodied physical competence. This shift creates a massive asymmetry. AI causes the cost of learning to plummet, but the cost of reliably proving that learning has occurred is skyrocketing. Verified capability is expensive because it requires time. It needs faculty to conduct oral exams, supervise physical experiments, and evaluate a student's reasoning in real time. This standardized mass assessment model is inexpensive to run, but it is also the most vulnerable to AI disruption. It can no longer provide the level of trust the market requires. AI does not automatically equalize students. While some use it to automate their workload, others use it to simulate experts and build complex projects. The technology amplifies the advantages of those who already have strong foundational skills. And as learning becomes nearly free, the trusted, human-led verification of capability will become the ultimate premium asset. AI amplifies existing institutional advantages. Rather than democratizing education uniformly, it tends to behave differently depending on the surrounding institution. Elite universities, like the IITs, will likely become more valuable. Students pay for selection, high-value networks, and elite signaling that AI cannot easily replicate. Top-tier management institutions offer a similar advantage. Their value is built on social capital and trusted employer relationships, not just content delivery. Elite medical institutions provide high-trust certification and physical verification of skills, assets that maintain their scarcity even as medical knowledge becomes abundant. This produces a three-tiered pyramid. The elite tier thrives, alongside a new ring of continuous reskilling. But the massive middle tier of generic universities fractures. Lacking elite signaling or extreme affordability, they face a negative loop of weakening reputation, declining demand, and reduced investment. The stakes are high. Producing millions of graduates without the corresponding economic absorption creates immense social and political pressure. In this environment, generic degrees lose their utility, while the signaling power of the most elite institutions becomes more concentrated. The industrial model of education as a single event followed by decades of work is ending. The emerging model is continuous, with workers weaving back and forth between education and the workforce to acquire new skills as AI shifts the labor market. The generic degree will likely be demoted. It becomes a foundation credential, a starting point rather than a final representation of employability. The paper certificate is being replaced by a digital twin. This provides a granular, continuously updated record of a student's performance and verified cognitive traits. Instead of a broad major, the ledger will track specific capabilities: team leadership, AI-assisted programming, and systems design. The record of a student's education is moving from a static historical document to a dynamic capability ledger. As machines take over routine calculation, writing, and research, we have to ask what exactly education is trying to produce. Schools must focus on foundational human-AI interaction, adaptability, and technological fluency, traits that will allow students to navigate a shifting economy. Evaluation is shifting toward the capacity to figure out solutions and navigate ambiguity when a predefined path does not exist. The final transition is toward rewarding problem selection, the human ability to decide which problems are worth solving in the first place. The institution built for knowledge scarcity must now become an engine for developing human capability, judgment, and purpose in an age of abundance.